Mobile One.
I'm not a therapist, I'm a mechanic. And I'm a mechanic that's been through a lot of stuff in my life. My YouTube channel is precipitate of dealing with issues instead of dealing with them in a bad way and acting out, out of impulses of redhead anger and violence. I chose to help people and to direct the energy that I had, but also to distract myself from having to deal with something that was plaguing my mind all the time. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and one of the things that the PTSD community's come up with in recent times, it wasn't available back in 2008, at least to me at the time when I started my YouTube channel. But one of the new things that has come out is called EMDR. I'm not a professional at any of this, and you shouldn't esteem me as such. I'm a mechanic, but I've had a lot of experience involuntarily with PTSD and childhood trauma and stuff like that. That being the case, I have a certain soft spot or desire to learn about all of this kind of stuff. I'm also a hardcore DIY, do-it-yourself kind of guy, and I share that with other people. In this bonus footage at the end, I was coming up with a video that I shot with the intention of using it for EMDR. EMDR is basically eye movement desensitization reprogramming. R is for reprogramming. You're rewiring your brain. It's like getting a flash on a computer to make the fuel injectors work or an update or something like that. But basically, there's a lot of reasons why it works, and now it's really popular. Back when I needed it in 2008, it wasn't available. But with the onset of soldiers coming home and dealing with PTSD, there have been a lot of different breakthroughs, and one of which was a guy had a whole bunch of stuff that was just replaying and replaying and replaying in his mind, and he's walking down the street and he's like, "Argh." Have you ever been so hot and bothered that you couldn't sleep, you couldn't eat, you couldn't do anything, and you're just kind of stuck in that rut? Well, this guy came up with a thing. He was just looking back and forth for whatever reason. I think he was doing IEDs or something like that, where you had to look at the roadside as you go along or whatever, and I don't know if that clicked or what the deal was, but basically going down a path and looking back and forth, and it has a calming effect. Basically, you have a lot of optic nerves, and when it's doing that, you're in the now. A visual part of the brain in the back of your head is really dialed in for being in the now. So being in the now, going back and forth is kind of a self-stimming, calming, soothing, but then this stuff was already playing in his head because he couldn't get it out of his head. And so doing this kind of comforted him, but then it also helped him to work through it. There's a lot of people coming up with all kinds of new things, and something that's new is crazy until it's proven to work, right? When I was in my youth dealing with one of the first traumas that I had, I don't know if I should share what it was, but it involved a suicide in a room right next to mine. I met with my aunt, and she was into a lot of new wave medicine kind of stuff, brain gym, biomeridians, all that kind of stuff. And she had me do some brain gym stuff where I would cross crawl. I'd have this hand go across the meridian of my body this way, and I do the same thing with my legs. And then we do this, and it's like we're doing some kind of cabaret kick line thing. And I thought it was really stupid, and I was so tough, and I couldn't cry at the time. I just hyperventilate. I just chug. It was just like I needed to cry so bad, and I had so much bottled up inside that, but I was tough. I was a really tough kid. So anyway, I would just chug and hyperventilate and whatever. My parents pushed me into counseling, and I didn't like that. I can handle it myself. I'm a tough guy. I'm a hardcore DIY guy. I share the DIY side with other people because it's a good healthy thing. It's a good coping thing, and it's a good way to make your money go farther. It's a good way to pull yourself up by the bootstraps financially and get back on your feet. People may need that or not need that right now. I don't know. It's 2020, right? But this EMDR is some pretty cool stuff. It is not a substitute for getting professional help, but it is something for me, I would experiment with it anyway. But then I have certain tools that I have to deal with when things get really hard. Usually on a scene where everybody's freaking out and somebody's dying or whatever else kind of deal, it doesn't, I say it doesn't bother me until my daughter, I check the airway, clear the airway, go for a heartbeat, can't find a heartbeat, she's seizing, she's on the floor, she's 2 years old, she's tiny, she's hard to work with. It's not like you can just, staying alive, the typical protocol. I freaked out on that one about 7 minutes into it, and then one of my buddies, who's a law enforcement officer, showed up and relieved me, and then paramedics came. But it's just like I kept it together. She wasn't choking, by the way. She was eating breakfast. I thought she was choking. So I just, just go into the protocol, do your training. But I can't say that I don't. Everybody has weakness, basically. And I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how much experience you have. If you get worn down, or if you have too much, or if you don't deal with your stuff, it can screw with you. So the video that I made, that I'm going to share with you now, it just basically says, okay, looking back and forth, EMDR, right? And what that does is it just reprocesses, reprograms you to deal with stuff. Desensitization is, take two guys. This guy has been eating well, sleeping well. He's got everything right. Sleep has a big part of this. Last night I had 9.5 hours of sleep. That's like incredible for me. Normally I only get 4. I had a bunch of nightmares last night, and so I'm like, dude, I need to deal with some stuff. And so I'm making this video to help myself, but I thought I'd share that and put it out there to you guys. If you're dealing, and I can't disclaim this enough, and I don't want to disclaim this because I believe in these things. That's why I'm sharing it, and that's why I'm being vulnerable with you guys. At the same time, there's going to be somebody that sees this that really needs to, and I'm not saying that they're weak or deficient or that they're not good enough, because that's not the case. But if somebody's seeing this and they're thinking about harming themselves, they're thinking about, because ultimately what happens is things have to get bad enough before you pay a lot of money for therapy, right? For some people, things have to get bad enough, but before people are just like, I'm done, nihilism, like whatever. For the love of all that's holy, please reach out to somebody that you trust. Don't be embarrassed. This can happen to anybody. That's part of why I'm comfortable with sharing some of this with you guys. Is I was going to do this as a bonus footage at the end, but I think I'm going to do this as a video. Don't feel bad for being human. You don't feel bad for needing to eat when you're hungry. You get a big steak, get some beers. You don't feel bad when you drink too much and pass out. It's human. It's just what happens. Hopefully you got good friends around you and they're not drawing on your face or something, right? But these things happen. We have our limits. We're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But there are things that we can do with what we have. We can reach out. We can get support. People are gregarious. Throughout history, unless you're a mountain man, and even they go back into town or go to a trading post or do something, we rely on each other. We are stronger together. There's an African proverb that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with friends. And basically what that means is, there's highs and lows. If you ever studied trigonometry, you know about sine waves, tangent waves, cosine waves. If you've studied electronics, you know about these waves. There's ups and downs for everybody. We have patterns, we have cycles, we have sleep cycles, we have to get sleep. But the bottom line is, if you're with somebody else, if you're having a crappy day and they're not, and they're, hopefully in your relationships things work out that way, right? But reach out to somebody that you trust. If you are thinking about harming yourself, call 911. A lot of people that are in that much pain to where they should be doing that, and it's okay to do that, are also beating themselves up between their ears. They're being hard on themselves. Don't be hard on yourself. It's important to treat yourself as well as you treat other people. I drop what I'm doing. I'll give the shirt off my back to somebody. I'll do hours of work for free. I'll travel great distances to go check up on a friend, right? And I'm happy to do that because I've been to funerals of friends. I've been to funerals of family members. I've had a number of times where people have reached out to me and they're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, thank you for reaching out to me, for real. It's like, this is so much easier. You know, I only sleep 4 hours a night, and sometimes I can go 2-3 days without sleeping. Involuntarily, voluntarily, it's all good, right? So the bottom line is, foster good relationships. Reach out to those people that you can trust. Do right by other people, not as a transaction kind of thing, but because it feels good. When you have crap to deal with, our instinct is, and especially if it's bigger than us and we don't want to reach out to somebody, our instinct is to fight it, resist it. No! You know, who here's woke up in the middle of the night screaming no, right? I movement desensitization, desensitizing. You're not as sensitive anymore. I've got a crack in this thumb. It's really sensitive. I've got a crack or a cut on this finger. It's also really sensitive. You hit it, ow. Desensitization, you're putting a Band-Aid on it, you're healing it, you're giving it medicine, you're giving it treatment. You're not sensitive to it anymore. But in order to do that, like for the cut example, you have to give it attention. You have to accept this needs help. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to put some attention and some skill and some technology, Neosporin or something, and I'm going to make it right, and then I don't have to deal with this anymore. Emotions can be a lot the same way. I used to think that emotions were stupid. Remember the 12-year-old me that used to chug instead of breathing? I used to think that it was important to shove your emotions to the bottom, to be tough, man up, be a man, all that kind of stuff, because that's the way I was raised. So you can't really fault my dad. He was really young at the time, but that's what he taught me. And then when we went through family crisis and whatnot, they got training, they got tools, they got equipment. I mean, it's just like the Snap-on truck rolling up. It's going to cost you, but for then on, or Mac Tools, whatever your favorite brand is, I'm not a fanboy of any particular brand, but I know nice tools make the job a lot easier, and I know the satisfaction that comes from working with something that came from somebody that knows what they're doing, aka therapist, aka Mac truck, Snap-on guy, whatever, right? So, man, I'm so happy to be sharing this, and at the same time it brings up stuff. And like I say, I had nightmares most of last night. I slept 9.5 hours, but a lot of it was dealing with stuff that I thought I'd already dealt with. And sometimes you got to go back and polish it up. I mean, you got to wash your car, even though you've washed it before. You got to brush your teeth just like you brushed it before. So I made this video back and forth, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch this video. I'm going to be looking at the okay, it's beautiful fall scenery, it's dirt biking, it's my happy place, you know, things are okay. But I'm going to be thinking about that particular trauma that I had nightmares about, and I'm just going to go back and forth, back and forth. This can take, in therapy, if you go to a therapist and they do this with you, they have you watch their finger back and forth, and it's a safe place, and they can support you. And if you're downward spiraling, or if you're on at the point of breaking, or if you're like super depressed, you want to hurt yourself, you want to hurt other people, sometimes triggering it, you know, if we're not brave enough to deal with it, and we want to run away from it, no, kind of stuff, it can be a bad thing. And that's why it's a good idea to go to a therapist and have them do it, because they're going to have you reliving what it is you're dealing with while doing this. This helps desensitize you to it, but thinking about it can be rough. And if you have a crappy therapist, or if you don't have the tools that you need to accept and to deal with it, to watch it pop up, and just be like, there you are. Okay, no profanity in this. There you are, and watch it go by, right? So, anyway, there are things that are above my pay grade in the mechanic world, where it's better that I take a car in to get a windshield replaced, because I'm not good at replacing windshields, or get a PCM reflashed at the dealership, because I don't have access to the equipment or stuff like that. Don't be afraid. I mean, I will never ever judge somebody harshly for asking for help. I will never ever, because I've needed help. I'm old enough, smart enough, I needed help. I will never ever condemn somebody for getting counseling, but I will wholeheartedly respect somebody for getting counseling. It's a hard decision to make, because if somebody's never been before, they don't know what to expect, they've never been through the protocol, they don't know the difference between a good therapist and there are some crappy therapists out there. There are some people that have no business being in therapy, I'll tell you that. And then there are people that I esteem as freaking superheroes. I mean, like Marvel, call this guy up, he's amazing, you know, kind of stuff. Same with chiropractors, doctor free. But the long and the short of it is, we're all in this together. Nobody gets out alive. We're all human. We all have, and especially tough guys like me that wait till the very last minute to ask for help, and we try everything we can on our own, and I'm okay, and don't worry about me. You know, like where things can get pretty freaking bad. Don't let them get that bad. One of the things that I did my YouTube channel for is I don't have any sons. I wanted to pass things on, and honestly, I never thought that I'd live to be 30 years old. I'm addicted to adrenaline, sports. I do all kinds of dumb stuff, what other people would call dumb. I think there's reason to them, or else I wouldn't do them. There's a lot of flow, there's a lot of being in the moment. When I'm doing this adrenaline type sports, all of my demons are gone. They can't keep up with me. You know what I mean? There's a beauty to it, because if you're focusing so intently on staying alive and being in that moment, your demons can't keep up, for one. But I also, on the other hand of it, is I take a lot of precautions beforehand. Before I rock climb, I check my figure eight, I check my harness, I make sure that my strap goes back through, little red stitches are showing. Before I fly, I check my wing, I check my lines, I check my hang points. I know without a shadow of doubt, it takes me longer to get in the air, it takes me longer to get up the rock, but I know beyond a shadow of doubt that I'm going to be here for my kids. I know beyond a shadow of doubt I'm going to be here for you guys. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm going to be around to be the answer to somebody else's prayers. I like doing service, because if you ever get to feel that you don't, if you ever have your demons back you into a corner to where you feel like you don't matter, like you feel like you don't count, like you feel like you suck, go help somebody, be of service. That alone can save your bacon, but it can also be an answer to somebody else's prayers. You cannot feel worthless if somebody else feels like you're amazing. If somebody's like, thank you so much, that made such a big difference. Dude, it just destroys any of those demons that are telling you that you're not good enough. I'm not perfect. I have weaknesses, I have limits, and in a way that's a good thing, because for one, egos suck. You think ego's awesome because it makes you feel good. Like, listen to Mike Tyson about ego, listen to a lot of these people about ego. Their ego is what kills them. It can give you a lot of success, but at the end of the day, you fall apart. If you can curb your ego and learn to do that, the world's your oyster. There's no limit to what you can do, the good you can do, the people you can reach, and the peace that you can have. I mean that. So, this is a way longer video. This is going to be really hard for me to post. There's a lot of vulnerability in it, but you guys are worth it. I really think so. Engineering Explains, a great channel. I put this on this morning when I was going to do a video on cars or something else, and I thought I had everything in the can, and I started making a video, and I started making this B8, and then I'm just like, this is the video people need right now. That's what I'm going to make. If this reaches 1 or 2 people, or even if it just reaches 1 person and helps 1 person, it's worth it. And to everybody else that came for a car video today, I think I'm going to post this one on Saturday, which is my edit day, and I'm going to do another video, and just a simple Subaru water pump bolt stripped out video is what I was going to do. I'll post that tomorrow. You can check that out tomorrow. Yeah, and those people already tuned out, so I don't know why I'm putting this at the end. Squirrel. Right? Nobody's perfect. Egos are crappy. We all need help sometimes. Look at the way that humans are born into this world. We rely on our parents for the first 18 years of our life, a lot of us. You know, some of us much less than that. My hat's off to you guys. Whew. Seems like you meet a lot of successful people, a lot of new money successful people, and they've had some rough goes at it. They've had rough situations. They've had these uncomfortable moments, and be thankful for those uncomfortable moments, because what a motivation they are, what a catalyst they are to bring a reaction in your life to where you do amazing things and become a boon to humanity and everybody around you. That's the kind of person I want to be, because I've seen it. I've had these people in my life. I didn't do it on my own. And man, those people that have been there for me when I really needed it, that's the kind of person I want to be. That's why I do this YouTube channel. That's why I respond to comments and questions and stuff. And I burn myself out, and then I get stuck in a rut. They're kind of stuck because I'm human. And then I start over again. And it's not so bad. I'm pretty thankful for what I have. I've come a long way. I'm really thankful for the tools. I'm thankful for the people in my life. And I'm just trying to share that with you guys. Cheers.
Bonus footage at the end.
I'm calling this session Climb to Clarity, and the reason why is I'm climbing up this steep trail up to a clearing. So join me and let's head up to the clearing. Look back and forth from the O and the K, O and the K. Just, it's kind of a meditation. If you've got something that you can't get out of your mind, perfect. This is made for that. And just kind of go back and forth. And when you're concentrating on the O and the K, you're just kind of letting things pass. You're being an objective observer. Your job is not to assign judgment or assign any kind of meaning or interpret it or think about what other people think about anything. Your job is simply to observe and let it pass. Observe and let it pass. It's these thoughts of whatever's bothering you, whatever's on your mind, just let them pop up and let them go. You turn the volume off and watch it as many times as you want or need to. Sometimes it takes 90 minutes. Sometimes it takes not a lot of time at all. You should get into a pattern though. This is great for unpacking baggage, but you'll find that doing this in the moment or after the moment, sometimes you got to put emotions aside and take care of business at hand. But then shortly thereafter, you can go through and you can do this even with or without the video, even just in your own head, just having a little moment of meditation where you're quiet and you just let it come up and let it go by. In different meetings that I've participated in for first responders, they talk about having a debriefing, if you will, where you go through and you just kind of undo the damage that's done by discussing it, getting it out in the open. You can do a journal entry. You could just go over it in your mind. But if an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, that prevention would be dealing with it while it's fresh in your head before it gets concreted in by repetition running through your mind at night.